CinemaCon Day 3 is just about wrapping up, and I did want to just get into some of the stuff that has been announced today while I sit here and wait for some other information. I'm really hoping that they drop some James Bond news. Being optimistic, we'll see. But like my previous video on day 1 and 2 of CinemaCon, we're going to talk a little bit just about the stuff that I thought was interesting. There is a whole lot to go here, so if I did miss one, be sure to go look it up, make sure and see if anything else has caught your attention. But we are going to jump right into day 3 and some of their announcements that they made. First studio to take this stage at day 3 of CinemaCon was Universal Pictures, and I'm not going to lie, they had most of the good stuff. Day 3 is looking to be a little bit mid in my opinion, but there are some good things here. So we're going to start off with some of the things that Universal had announced. So Universal decided to open up with a world premiere screening of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake. According to X and some of the people that were there in attendance, they actually praised this movie, saying that it had really good charm and visual spectacle, with one of the critics that was there named Scott Menzel saying that it is a must see on the big screen. Shortly after that premiere, they announced that there is going to be a How to Train Your Dragon 2 in live action, and this was announced for June 11, 2027. And now this seems to be kind of a signal of their confidence. It seems that Universal really feels that they have a really good movie here. I personally am very interested to see this movie. I wasn't at first, but it does look pretty dope. And you can't lie, those animated movies do really well. There's a huge fan base for them. They are good movies. I'm still a little bit confused on to why they even did this in the first place. How to Train Your Dragon is not an old animated film by any means, but Disney has kind of set the stage of this being okay with a lot of their remakes of old animated films. So we're entering in that era. We've been in that era, honestly, so it's not a surprise, but it's nice to hear that this movie performed well. People seem to really like it. But what's really going to matter is when it does hit theaters and we get those reactions. I'm interested to see it for myself. Next up in line, we have Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2, which got its first trailer, more of a teaser trailer. This was exclusive for the attendees, but shortly after it did release online. So we got our first look at this second installment to Five Nights at Freddy's. Set to release in December of this year, 2025. This is set to expand this horror universe with returning cast members and bigger scares. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's, not any of the games. I am a casual viewer. Well, I did play one of the VR games and that was pretty interesting and kind of terrifying, but I'm not as deep into the lore when it comes to this property. I did enjoy that first film, although the way that it was marketed, the way that I had heard about the movie, I thought it was going to be just a little bit more scary, a little bit more horror vibes. It felt very kiddish, and I know that that was mainly because there is mainly the kid audience that is involved with this IP. So I wasn't mad at it. I liked the movie. It just wasn't as thrilling or as horror filled as I was hoping. But I love the performances. Matthew Lillard is the GOAT of scary movies. Well, at least one of them. And with recent cast announcements like Skeet Ulrich joining alongside Matthew Lillard, I think that this movie is going to be pretty good. I'm excited to see this movie, to see how they expand on this universe and see some of the different elements, because the first movie made it seem like that Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria was the only one there. And now it's looking like this was actually a big chain, so it's a big deal. So I'm definitely excited to check this out when it does come out later this year. Moving us along to talk a little bit about some Wicked. The first footage was shown at CinemaCon to the attendees there. The footage is described as the teaser show Glinda searching for Elphaba amid cracking glass, with Elphaba declaring there's no going back, hinting at a confrontation with the wizard. A live orchestra performance of Defying Gravity accompanied the reveal. That sounds like a pretty decent time to me. The film is set to come out this year, November 21st, and I find that to be quite fascinating. Now, this is one of those movies that I kind of slipped up on and did not see. I heard good things. I was interested to watch it, but when it came time to go see it in theaters, there was so much going on that I ended up missing it. It is a bit unfortunate, but I am going to make sure that I watch that movie before seeing the second one. I am a huge fan of The Wizard of Oz. I grew up watching that with my little sister, singing every one of Judy Garland's songs. I did actually enjoy the James Franco movie titled Oz and the old school Michael Jackson interpretation, The Wiz. I mean, come on, that's a classic. So I am involved in this universe. I like the stories that are told within this universe. I do really want to see this movie. And from what I hear, it was a banger. So I'm gonna make sure that I check that one out. How do you feel about Wicked for Good? Bringing us to talk about another horror film that is getting a sequel, Megan 2.0. Now, this movie has been widely marketed. We kind of know the premise that there's going to be a new AI bot and Megan is gonna kind of turn into a good guy and try to defend the family that she was with in the first one from this new AI bot. It's said that the tone is wackier than the original, kind of leading us to believe that this is definitely fell into the comedy horror vibes, kind of straying away from the darker horror tones that were marketed in the first one. But that's honestly okay with me. I find Megan, the first movie, was a lot of fun. It was very interesting. I had a good time with it, and I can accept it for what it is. The announcement at CinemaCon seems to have been like a really fun announcement. They had dancers coming out dressed like Megan, performing to Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again. So I can only imagine that that was pretty entertaining to be a part of. But this movie is set to release in the summer of this year, 2025. I'm not gonna lie, going through this lineup and seeing the announcements that came out today under Universal, I got some movies I gotta catch up on. And these next two are no different. We got the announcement for this movie entitled The Bad Guys 2, starring Awkwafina and Craig Robinson. And honestly, I really don't know anything about that one. This seems to be quite a fun animated film though. It's this heist kind of movie where this team, who were known for being bad guys previously, are now trying to do one last job after being captured and told that they have to do it. I dig Awkwafina. I think Craig Robinson is funny as hell, so I will definitely be tuning into this. It seems to have a little bit of adult undertones, which I mean works for us adults. But again, I gotta get educated and watch that first one. I feel like I'm slipping on my movie game here. But The Bad Guys 2, also slated for the summer of this year. How are you feeling about this movie? Next up, we had a debut trailer for The Black Phone 2. Now, again, I didn't see this one, but I wanted to. I swear I wanted to. Ethan Hawke, I find to be a phenomenal actor. I was very interested in the story of that first one, seeing how it would work, and to see that we are getting a second film, yeah, I really got to get on it. At the time of making this video, we really didn't have any details on the footage, but it did have giant success when the first one did come out. So this will definitely be on my radar, definitely on my list. You can look forward to that review. How do you feel about The Black Phone and getting a sequel to this movie? That is pretty much it for the Universal lineup. After their presentation, it was Amazon's turn to get on stage and show us what they got. Amazon MGM Studios came out announcing that they are working on The Accountant 2. This is going to be starring Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal, and is set for an April 25th, 2025 release. The plot apparently involves Ben Affleck's Christian Wolf solving a murder with his estranged brother, teased as a key part of Amazon's MGM's theatrical push. Oh, truthfully, I know y'all gonna hate me. I didn't see the first one of this either, but that doesn't mean I can't think that this second one looks good, because it does. Ben Affleck has a very weird performance going on in this one. They mentioned a condition in the first trailer that we got about a month ago. And I mean, he's tied up with Jon Bernthal. Jon Bernthal is dope. This movie looks to be very action-packed, also having a little bit of that emotional tension that's in there, them being brothers, and seems like they ain't talked in a while. So I think that this was a pretty exciting announcement to make over at CinemaCon. Another one that I gotta add to my list. What did you think about the first one, and how are you feeling about the second one? Moving on to talk a little bit about some James Bond. Now, this has been widely speculated since Amazon got the rights to James Bond. There's been a lot of talk about who's going to be the next Bond, and that is something that I'm really interested in. I mean, I grew up with Pierce Brosnan as my James Bond. That was who I looked to. But as I got older and in my teen years and kind of watched a lot of the older guys, Sean Connery was my favorite James Bond. And while I was editing and making this video, it came out that there was a slight tease for this new James Bond franchise, although nothing was concrete. And I guess people were a little bit disappointed in that. It is a bit disappointing, but they showed that they are committed to this franchise and making some more films. They said that Bond 26 is in active development, and that was stated by MGM's head, Mike Hopkins. This will involve fellow producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. Mike Hopkins then decided to say, "We're working on something special for 007. Expect news soon." So at least we know it's coming, and I'm excited for that. I know that Daniel Craig is the new Bond, has been the new Bond the last few installments, and it kind of feels sometimes like James Bond has been forgotten, but he is a legend. Everybody that has played him, he has been around for years, so many different actors, and he's cool, man. James Bond is dope. I think Daniel Craig did a lot to kind of up the persona of James Bond and make him a lot more of a fighter than maybe previous films. And one of the main fan casting that is going around is Aaron Taylor Johnson. And I'm not going to say that I'm against that, but I would like to see somebody else. I don't know who. I'm not great at fan casting, but I hope that whoever plays him really nails down the persona and can really get into character, because James Bond is dope and deserves to be treated as such. Lastly, you know that I had to mention the Masters of the Universe movie, the He-Man movie that is now set to come out July 31st of 2026. Travis last night got on stage and released a teaser trailer for this movie. The teaser was described as the clip featured Geek'd, our He-Man, wielding the power sword in a fiery battle against Skeletor, voiced by Ralph Fiennes, with Eternia's landscapes rendered in vivid detail. The film blends practical effects and CGI, with Knights promising a love letter to the 80s toy line. And I know you gotta love to hear that. On my end, there was kind of a little bit of worry that they were gonna do some kind of weird modern interpretation where maybe we're in the real world, and not saying that that's not going to happen, but it seems like Eternia is going to be a huge focus, as it should, for this movie. Nicholas Geek'd, if I'm pronouncing his name right, seems absolutely perfect for the role. They also said that they dropped a new poster at CinemaCon that was showing He-Man on top of a battle cat. And I told y'all, I didn't grow up always watching He-Man. I knew who He-Man and Skeletor was. My dad was a huge fan, but seeing the description of the footage that was shown, man, it gets me so excited. I think that this might turn out to be a really good movie. I'm hoping that it does. And I'm super jealous that CinemaCon attendees got to actually see some footage for this movie. That is pretty much it for day 3 at CinemaCon. I believe they're just about wrapping up, so that doesn't seem like we're going to get too much else. What was the announcement that got you the most excited from these 2 studios today? As always, if you stayed until the end of this video, I appreciate that very much. So thank you. Hit that like button so that we could push this video out. Also, make sure that you subscribe. Day 4 is tomorrow, so you don't want to miss any of the updates that come out. But y'all know the routine, man. I'm out of here. Y'all be smooth and stay geeked up.